There are a bunch of new and exciting things happening in Washington, D.C. in 2022. So if you're planning to visit, you'll want to make sure to pay attention to this video. Quick programming note before I begin. This is not a COVID update or a reopening update. I do have plenty of those if that's what you're looking for, organized in a playlist which you can find down in the description. Now let's start with some 2022 transportation happenings. And buckle in because there's a lot. If you're flying in through Reagan National Airport, you might notice it looks a little bit different than in the past. TSA recently rearranged the security perimeter for all of the gates except for the A gates. You'll now go through security before entering the main hall. The benefit to this is that if you have to move between concourses, you don't have to re-clear security at each concourse. You'll also be able to get into any post-security restaurant that you want. So if you're really craving that and pizza, but you're not flying out of the concourse that it's in, you can now get it. The downside to this is that the big, beautiful Grand Hall is no longer accessible to the public if you're not booked on a flight, which I personally think is a huge bummer. Now, if you've ever flown to this airport on a regional jet, you might be familiar with the infamous gate 35X. And boy do I have some good news for you. 35X is gone and has been replaced by a brand new concourse for small planes. So that might be exciting if you're coming in on a regional airline. Once you leave the airport, you'll notice some new things on Metro. Metro has already started the process of swapping out old fare gates with newer, brighter, higher tech fare gates with big digital displays. But what really makes these different is that unlike the old fare gates, these are two-way, which means you no longer have to figure out on your own which fare gates are for entering and which are for exiting. And hopefully this helps with the bottlenecks that can sometimes occur when a large number of people get off of a train at the same time. Oh, and by the way, if you have an old SmartTrip card, roughly 10 years old or older, it is incompatible with these new fare gates. So check out the description for a video that I made about how to check your old cards and what to do if you have an old SmartTrip card that's out of date. Another Metro improvement in 2022 is that we now have weekend flat fares, which means on Saturday and Sunday, you can ride from any station to any other station for only $2. I've taken advantage of this myself, and I think it's pretty great. Now, let's talk about the Metro White Whale, the Silver Line to Dulles Airport. Metro to Dulles was originally scheduled to open in the summer of 2018, but it has been absolutely plagued with delays and construction problems. And every single year I make this video and I say, maybe this will be the year, which is exactly what I'm gonna say again now. It will be a big deal when Metro to Dulles finally opens, but I'm not getting my hopes up anymore. One last transportation thing to mention is that Capital Bike Share has made some updates to their pricing. The short version is that prices are up a little bit for regular bikes and a little bit more for e-bikes. But in my opinion, Capital Bike Share is still one of the best deals in town. By the way, hello, my name is Rob. I'm a tour guide and the founder of Trip Hacks DC Tours. On this channel, I share my best tips, tricks, and hacks for exploring Washington, DC. So if you're interested in that sort of thing, make sure to subscribe to the channel as I have a lot of fun videos coming up in 2022. Now, let's talk about my favorite topic, the monuments and memorials. The Jefferson Memorial is going into a 2-year renovation to rebuild the lower level. If you've ever been to the Jefferson Memorial before, the only reason you probably went to the lower level was to use the restroom. So this project will be a big improvement over what's down there now. The main chamber of the monument will be open during construction, and the Jefferson Memorial will continue to be on Trip Hacks DC Tours. However, when they close the restroom for the project, they will likely replace them with temporary portable toilets. So if that matters to you, just keep it in mind if you're visiting Jefferson in 2022. A mile away, something big is happening at the Lincoln Memorial. On May 30th, the Lincoln Memorial turns 100 years old. The original dedication happened in 1922, so this is a big milestone. And yes, I've asked, but there's no word yet on the cake. And the last monument to mention is the Korean War Memorial, which will complete its major renovation in summer 2022. Theater fans, 2022 is going to be a big year for you here in DC. The Kennedy Center is celebrating its 50th anniversary season right now. So check out the Kennedy Center programming to see what special things they have lined up for the anniversary. The biggest show of the year, of course, is Hamilton, which is coming to the Kennedy Center August 2nd through October 2nd. And I am sure will be an extremely hot ticket. If, like me, you are a fan of early 2000s movies, Mean Girls will be playing at the Kennedy Center in April, and Catch Me If You Can is playing the arena stage through April 17th. And those are just a few that I thought sounded interesting, so don't sleep on DC's theater scene, as it's going to be a great year in 2022. Believe it or not, several new hotels are opening in Washington, D.C. in 2022. I will put a link to an article in the description with a list of all of the hotels and their expected opening dates. What's notable to me is that these new hotels are concentrated in a few specific geographic areas. NoMa is getting 3 new hotels this year: a Citizen M Hotel, a Selena Hotel, and a Curio by Hilton. Capitol Riverfront, or what some people call the Navy Yard, is getting 2 new hotels this year: an AC Hotel and a yet-to-be-named hotel on the riverfront. And the Wharf is getting a brand new hotel called Pendry, which I understand is a very, very high-end brand. Now, if you want to know all of my recommended areas to stay and hotels, head on over to triphacksdc.com/hotels for the list. Navy Yard and the Wharf are both currently on there. NoMa is currently not, but I am going to rethink that after all of these new hotels open this year. If you're coming to DC, you're probably at least somewhat interested in Smithsonian and museums. And there is a lot happening with Smithsonian this year. The first is that Futures is now open in the old Arts and Industries building on the National Mall, but only through July 6th. It's an immersive and interactive experience that gives you a chance to think about what the future might hold. I went a couple of months ago for the first time and thought it was great. So check out my video recap in the description below. Unfortunately, not all Smithsonian news is good news. The Air and Space Museum on the National Mall will close to the public on March 28th and not reopen until the fall. This is all part of the massive multi-year renovation that's been going on since 2018. I know it's going to be a huge bummer if you're visiting when the museum's closed, but these renovations are going to make the Air and Space Museum so much better, and it will be worth it, I promise. To me, the most important piece of Smithsonian news is that the Folk Life Festival is back to its full glory this summer. This year's festival will run from June 22nd to the 26th, take a break, then come back from June 30th to July 4th. We did not have a Folklife Festival in 2021 or 2020 because of COVID. But what a lot of people don't remember is that we basically didn't have one in 2019 either. Because of the historically long and painful federal government shutdown, they only had a very watered down 2-day event that I personally didn't even attend. So this is going to be the first time in many years that we'll be able to finally re-experience the awesomeness of this festival. And hey, are you coming to Washington, D.C. in 2022? What are you most looking forward to seeing and doing? Leave a comment and let me know, as I'd love to hear about your trip plans. And if you're coming to DC and interested in signing up for a Trip Hacks DC guided tour, you can click or tap on the Capitol Dome on the left side of my head. That'll send you right over to triphacksdc.com, where you can see all of the tours that we offer. Enjoy your trip!